Hey everyone, and good for you, David Rodriguez. This young man is taking up and assuming a challenge through the courts of all things. So, this is going to play out on the big stage, right? And I'm very proud of this young man for doing so. But what this in regards to is a NOTA initiative, as you can see. It's something that I talked about. I actually made a video to give my take on the whole NOTA initiative because, I kind of was the one that tried to do it. I even created a whole Facebook page back in the day. This is around April of 2015. And it was something I thought, listen, this is something that Canadians deserve, for crying out loud, right? Because I looked at all the results, all the election results, and I looked at the fact that every time we go through these election process, even though there's a pretense of this majority that gains the power to rule over the masses, in reality, if you do it numbers by numbers, if you understand math, you know that, wait a minute, none of these numbers represent anything even remotely close to a majority, a plurality. And with our first past the post system, yeah, you gained the majority within that small minority, but that's not a representation of the general population, of what the people of Canada truly want. Trudeau or Harper before him, they usually win these elections with what? Roughly between 5 or 6 million Canadians out of 24 million eligible voters. Now, the non-voting population out of that 24 million represents anywhere between 8 and 10 million within the last few elections. So think about it. If you're winning elections with between 5 and 6 million, I think it was Harper was roughly around 5.5, and I think Trudeau might have gained a little bit more, but it's still probably under 6 million if I remember correctly. But obviously that's a minority number in comparison to the 8 or 10 million Canadians that said, I don't want to deal with any of these dipshits. Give me another option here, folks, because I don't want to pick from any of these lesser of evils, right? Canadians are, well, at least 8 or 10 million of them. Well, so far, the larger number 10. There's at least 10 million Canadians that are constantly battling in their mind. Why would I want to turn out and try to legitimize these dipshits when in reality it's like I don't support any of them. Yeah, I don't like gangs of thieves. And if you give me a whole bunch of different gangs of thieves or corrupt parasites, I don't want to pick any of these dipshits. And I want to be able to send that message clearly. So when the media covers these elections, they can't put the excuse, non-voters are just apathetic or lazy or uninformed or just don't want to take the time to vote. No, that's a bullshit premise. That's a bullshit narrative. And if you had an actual note of initiative or option on the ballot, well, the pundit class, well, they would find out real quickly that, no, actually, there's a whole lot of Canadians. Actually, the majority of those Canadians, that 10 million, that potential 10 million, that would show up and say, listen, yeah, I'm one of them. I'd be like, damn right, is there a NOTA initiative? Is there a NOTA option on the ballot? None of the above. I'll go to vote. I'll even stand a lineup to wait and so that I can show my protest vote. It was like, I don't want any of these dipshits. Not all about having a ruling class that gets to constantly dictate my lives and plunder my income at their whims. Why would anyone want to force down to that lowest common denominator where we just got to constantly pick from the lesser of evils? Because as we all see, as we all recognize at this stage, you got to, is the constant picking of lesser evils means you keep getting more and more evil. You're not going to escape evil if you keep picking fucking lessers of evils. You're always function in evil territory. Anyways, doing a little rant already, but this young man, like I said, this David Rodriguez, he's willing to pick up that torch and run with it. And like I say, good for you. And I'll say before I even get into this article, if you see this video or if anyone that knows this young man sees this video, because they didn't even post any link to any of his Twitter or Facebook, or because I tried to reach out to the young man, but I don't know who he is. But if anyone's watching this video knows who this young man is, tell him to reach out to me because I'm more than willing to help you in any way that I can. Help spread some information. Hey, I'll even go to court. Since you are taking these dipshits to court, I will stand and be a witness. I'll do my own testimonial. I will stand before the judge for you and stand solidarity. And believe me, I've got lots of insight and lots of knowledge and lots of pertinent points that I can raise to any judge that will have their head spinning, right? At least have people questioning the predominant narratives that Canadians have been told for far too long, where we constantly got to always keep this picking the lesser of evils. Headline, and this is out of iPolitics. Student goes to court to get none of the above on election ballots. Electoral cynicism has a new champion. A University of Ottawa student is taking the federal government to court because federal election ballots don't provide a none of the above option, which he argues is an affront to free speech. I agree. David Rodriguez, 26, filed a statement of claim in federal court arguing that limiting voting options only to specific candidates prevents electors from officially expressing dissatisfaction with all the candidates available to them in the federal general elections. Rodriguez claims that he didn't vote in the last election due to the inability to officially express dissatisfaction with all the candidates available to him. But in the Department of Justice Statement of Defense said the Charter's guaranteed of freedom of expression section does not cover a positive right to be provided with specific means of expression, and that the Canada Elections Act doesn't limit his ability to demonstrate his dissatisfaction with all the candidates listed on a federal election ballot. It said spoiling a ballot counts as a form of political expression and notes that not voting is also an option. Like I say, pure weasel stuff, right? But hey, let's take this to the courts. Let's take it all the way to the top. And we'll find out, like I say, let's lay out our case. And trust me, you got not just me, but you got a lot of people that will back you up. And we got evidence that's basically undeniable. I mean, we've got truth, we've got objective reality, and we've got the whole pretense of what it means to be a free individual, right? So, like I say, proud of this young man. By all means, stay steady on your course. Continue to pursue this and don't let anybody deride you or insult you or make you want to back down from this challenge, because this is a very important challenge and I'm glad you're doing this. Under the Canada Elections Act, Elections Canada has to report the number of rejected ballots from each election. Rodriguez filed a reply to the statement of defense arguing that not voting is too vague and ambiguous. Exactly. Because they always use the excuse, oh, it's voter apathy, oh, it's ignorance, oh, it's laziness, right? Exactly. You're right on the money, young man. An act to express a total rejection of all the candidates. Rodriguez's claims have not been tested in court. Haha, right? So this is going to be precedent setting, folks. This is what we got to do. I mean, like I say, thank goodness. And look at this. This is just one individual. So when people say, oh, what can one person do? Well, Exhibit A. Stop making excuses. Stop being truly apathetic and get involved and try to make your voices heard. The government is asking for a summary judgment on the matter early this year. He's not the only person to demand the right to publicly declare all the candidates in a given race are terrible. In 2001, then Liberal MP Charles Cascia put forward a private member's bill that would have added none of the above to federal ballots, but it was dropped from the order paper after failing to win support. Then PC MP Peter MacKay suggested in debate that such a ballot option would entrench cynicism in the electoral system. The prospect of a none of the above on ballots was also floated in 2016 at the Electoral Reform Committee, but in the context of whether it should be a feature of a mandatory voting system. Yeah, screw the mandatory bullshit, right? Like mandatory for subjugation. Come on, of course. Yeah, we don't want to go anywhere near that, and I mean, that's an easy pushback. Anyways, the rest of this article just starts breaking down into provincial elections and how there are some provinces that they do offer the option of none of the above. Although, how many times do you hear about that kind of stuff being reported? Very, very seldomly. So this is a conversation. This is an issue that probably resonates for, well, probably at least 10 million Canadians and maybe more. But it's something that, like I said, we got to do. We got to do every little thing, every little possible action we can do to help expand individual liberties and freedoms and our ability to speak openly and voice our opinions properly, right? Isn't that what an open and free society entails? For anyone to reject this means you have to be an authoritarian and say, no, you got to pick from the gangs that we're offering you. And if you don't like it, too bad. We're going to rule over you anyways. That's basically the only argument that they can offer, although they try to twist and distort the English language to the point where they, I don't know, just suggest that it's all about Apathy and ignorance, right? No. Anyway, like I said, if you know this David Rodriguez, give him my information, the Canadian Libertarian, or Bennett Hunter, my own personal Facebook page, Twitter, I am already free, at I am already free. Help me connect with this young man so that he knows that there are people out here that are not only willing to back him up and defend his position, but willing to put ourselves out there and on the line. This is the Canadian Libertarian, and I love liberty.